y'all. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Angel, aka the Angelic Muse. I'm an intuitive tarot reader as well as a certified Reiki practitioner. And as you can see from the title of this video, I am back with another pick a card for you all. So as you can see, this reading is going to involve me telling you all about yourself. No, not really, but it is me telling you how it is that I would describe you, how a tarot reader would describe you based off the cards that have come out for the pile that you have intuitively selected. So, as you can see, we have 3 for you to choose from. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. No objects, no crystals, nothing like that on top, just you and your intuition and a number. So you can go ahead and pause the video now if you want, so you can meditate on whichever pile gravitates towards you. Whether that is 1 or all 3 is entirely up to you and your intuition. However, if none of them gravitate towards you, that just simply means that this reading is not for you. But I do hope that you come back and visit me for another one. So yeah, all the timestamps will be linked down below in the description box, so you can just jump right into your selection. All of the decks that I am using will be listed down below as well. And of course, all my links, if you want to connect with me on other platforms outside of this one, and you want to book a personal session with me, you can click the link down below, or you can just head over to my website, www.theangelicmuse.com, and you can book with me that way as well. So, without further ado, I am going to go ahead and get started with pile 1, and I will see you at whichever selection you've chosen. Hey pile 1, so if you chose the first pile, obviously, then here is your reading. So, I'm going to get into your tarot first, and then I want to pull your oracle cards that I have for you and see what comes up from them. So, first card, we have the 6 of Cups. Second card is the 4 of Wands in reverse. Third card rather is the Emperor. Fourth card is the 2 of Swords. And the 5th card is the 9 of Pentacles. Okay. So, so the Emperor is your major arcana here. So, I feel like if I had to describe you as a person, or I would say you are the type of person who gives abundantly. Like, you give with no, I don't want to say with no regards to yourself. I feel like you do regard yourself, your emotions, your feelings. You factor all that in. But because you have so much to give, I feel like outwardly it may look like you give to no end. You're very stable. You're very grounded. You're very secure. And you're fine with being on your own. You're fine with your own natural independence. You're fine with people leaning on you for advice. You're fine for people coming to you for answers. Because you have an interesting way of keeping other people's issues or problems or woes separately from your own. I feel like you have a very keen sense of discernment when it comes to what you allow into your space, what you allow into your bubble. If it isn't something that has the ability to allow you to grow and flourish and thrive and learn, if it's not something that pertains to some sort of like heightened self-awareness or sense of self, like if it doesn't lead to your alignment or your enlightenment in life, then you really don't make room for it. With this 4 of Wands being in reverse, when I first saw it, you know, when you think of it upright, it talks about celebration and victories and a sense of coming together. But I feel like with this whole, like, I try to look at it. Each pile is going to be different. You know, each set of cards that I pull out is going to be different. But for the most part, it does tell a story. And I feel like what this is saying is interesting because the Emperor and the Two of Swords are both facing towards this Four of Wands in reverse. Whereas the Nine of Pentacles is facing outward, which is you on your own. When you're isolating, you're fine with basking in your own set of accomplishments. You don't mind taking the slower route when it comes to your growth and things like that. I feel like with this Four of Wands is it's not necessarily saying that there is no sense of celebration. There's no sense of fun. What it's saying to me is that it kind of just piggybacks off what I was saying with you not really, like, you'll help other people. You'll give the advice. You'll help people in whatever ways that they come to you with, but you may not always see the ways that you help other people. That's what I'm getting at. So, like, you think of wands and them being fast movement. So, like, you may give advice and then it may take other people longer than they may even like for it to come to fruition, or for the problem or the issue or whatever to fix itself, or for their solution to come about on their own doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you could tell somebody what to do, but it's up to them to do it, kind of thing. So they may take a slower way to go. So you may not always see the fruits of your labor, I'll say that, but you know that you put your best foot forth. You know that these people are coming to you for a reason, and you give so freely that it doesn't bother you. But sometimes I do feel like it may mess with, like, your entire, like, your outlook on life. Like, you may think, like, I'm not doing, like, I'm doing what I can, but it just doesn't feel like enough. But it is. So, like, when it comes to your own path and your own way of going, it's like you have this sense of self that is okay, that is content. But then when it comes to other people, you may be like a selfless type person. But because you also have that independent nature to you where you seem closed off, it seems like you have a strong sense of detachment too. So, and that's fine, because at the end of the day, you're not there to be a problem. Like, you're not born to be a problem solver. You can give advice from your own point of view or whatever, but it's up to people essentially to take that. So it seems like while there is a healthy balance between your, like, what you give and what you take, your mind may lead you to places where you feel like you're not doing enough either way. That makes sense. So you are very stable, very secure. You have a lot going for yourself, but because of your outside or the external circumstances, it may sometimes lead you to feel that way, but only when you're dealing with other people. When it comes to yourself and your own path, you seem to have it like this, like, you're okay with that. But maybe you allow other people's lives or their decision making to affect you more than you would like for it to be. If that makes sense. Or maybe you might like it. Maybe you like dealing with people's issues so much to the point where you feel like that's kind of your business, you know. But just know that the balance that I'm seeing here seems to be healthy. The only thing pulling on it that makes it feel like it's not is just your own, like, your ego may be pulling on you, telling you, okay, it's not enough, but it is. So that is what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting from the tarot. But again, like I said, with this Nine of Pentacles, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to your own lifestyle and your path and decisions, that you're on the right path. You're doing what it is. You're doing all that is that you can do. Like, there's nothing more to be done there. Except move forward into the Ten of Pentacles. I mean, it's all slower to go type energy, but I feel like you're ultimately looking forward to it at the end, because you see, you're reaping the rewards of them. So, like, whether this Four of Wands is dealing with people close to you, like family, friends, you know, just people that you're close to in general, I think that you're kind of like on the page where it's like, if I make it, we all make it. Or like, we're all in this together, and, you know, I can't leave anybody behind. And, I think of the emperor and how he doesn't really factor in his own emotions or feelings, and he'll continuously go for something. Like you think of the emperor, you think of Aries, you think of ramming your head into something and just trying to break through those walls. And it's like, I feel like what happens is you try so hard for other people. You try so hard to get people to be on the same Nine of Pentacles energy that you're on, that it kind of leaves you blind. Like, when it comes to this Two of Swords, this is just you simply not being able to see their rewards or see where it is that they've grown, because they're not really growing. They're not growing like you are, at least. And that may be difficult for you to kind of come to terms with, because it's like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Where it doesn't necessarily always work like that. So not to say, like, I would describe you as someone who always has other people, like the best interest of others at heart, but it may not always look that way, because it just may be easier for you in some areas, or maybe not even easier. Maybe it is difficult for you in these areas to overcome your own obstacles, but you still manage to get it done anyway, and you kind of wonder why other people can't get on that same page. But we have to understand that there's a natural order and a balance to life that we won't understand. No matter how much we try, we can, like, there's only a certain point we'll get to before we can't break past that wall anymore, and we kind of just have to allow life to flow as it is. You know what I mean? Like, we won't always know all of the answers, and I feel like maybe you're just a natural seeker for answers, or maybe someone who just, like I said, people rely on you. You don't really mind it so much, but you kind of go into overdrive with finding the solutions for other people at times. And there's nothing wrong, because like I said, it comes from a good place, but intention, you can have good intentions and still not have it work out in a good way, if that makes sense. So just being mindful of that is going to be very important to you, moving forward. If it already isn't, it's definitely something to take into consideration, because, everybody moves on their own path, their own divine timing, and, it's not really up to us to save everyone. So that is what I'm getting from your tarot cards. Let me see your oracle cards and see what comes out for us. So your first card is Leo. Second card is, remember that it's okay to be happy. Really, it is. And I just saw 11:11 on the clock when I said that. Then you have be authentic. Anything else is just exhausting. Then you have caterpillar, opportunity. And then beloved, radical acceptance. So yeah, I feel like, I'll move these over a little bit. I feel like with this Leo card, first of all, it's number 53, and it dwindles down to the number 8, which is also the strength card in tarot. So naturally, when I saw that Leo card, I thought of the strength card. And strength talks about kind of having this silent power, as well as there's a lion there, but there's a woman. She's it kind of says there's a time and a place for everything. You know when to show your strength, and you know when to chill out. You're very adaptable. You're very discerning. And I think that's why this Nine of Pentacles energy works out so well for you, because when it comes to your own situation, your own timing, your own goals, your own path, your own purpose, you're very much aware of, there's a time to move and a time to slow down. I feel like you take that trait with you, and that's why others are they want you to give to them. They are literally looking forward to it, because they know, if nobody else can help me out with this, or nobody else knows the answer to this, then pile one does. Like, you have a way with your words, or a way of explaining things that it all makes sense. Or not even, maybe not even with your words, but just with your actions in general, the way they see your life going. You're an example of what other people may want for themselves, and maybe not down to a T, like every single detail, but just in the grand scheme of things. So just the way you handle your problems, maybe the people you keep around you, the things that you do within your daily routine. Maybe you work out, maybe you get fresh air, maybe you meditate, maybe you have a great relationship with like a great partner, or your family dynamic is one that is noble and honorable. You're just different qualities within you. Those are just examples of something that others could look to and kind of admire, or look forward to having within their own lives. I think you set a great example, and you are an amazing leader, because you think of lions, and there's always the one that leads the pack, and out of all the others there's like the head of it. And I feel like that would be you in your group of people. Not to say, like I said, they don't mimic you to a T, but there are certain qualities and leadership traits that you have within yourself that others admire. And then remember that it's okay to be happy, really it is, and be authentic. Anything else is just exhausting. I think that further leans into the qualities that you have within yourself, that like a lot of people don't remember that it's okay to be happy. They don't, like, granted, happiness along with other feelings can be very fleeting at times. 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down, but I feel like at your core, again, you have the Nine of Pentacles that represents your energy, and it's the only card facing away from everything else. Everything else seems to be concerned with what's going on over here, whereas this is just you standing alone in your own authenticity, and you don't mind being different from everything else. You don't mind being in your shell, in your bubble, and not allowing other people to mess it up. Like, you'll come out of it for sure. This is you all over here, giving to people. When it's time to shut it off, you ultimately you can. It's just that sometimes you may have not necessarily an issue, but you just want to see everybody win. So you may just kind of check up at times, but there's certain parts of it. Like, you think of Two of Swords, that's being like stuck and stagnant in an area of your life. And I feel like that's just you kind of being not stuck on other people's issues, but just kind of checking back, like, okay, let me see how this is going. Let's see how they've progressed. And when they haven't progressed, it leaves you feeling like wondering how, like, where's the disconnect, So, but overall, in general, I would describe you as someone who is very okay with naturally being in their own element, naturally being on their own as well, especially with this Caterpillar card. Now, caterpillar, you think of, a caterpillar blooming into a butterfly, which is a means of transformation. I feel like you have an amazing way of adapting to your surroundings, adapting to your circumstances. And that's what kind of leads into your amazing problem solving skills, or your amazing advice skills, because you have the experience to go along with it. So as far as the transformation goes, I feel like you never leave a situation the same way you went in it. You always learn and you always grow, and allow that to be the fuel for you. But not only that, you think of cats and their independence and how aloof they are, and how they don't mind being on their own. Like, they may sleep in packs or whatever, but if you ever been to like a cat shelter or just seen a bunch of cats, there may be some up, and then there may be that one sleeping. Like, everybody else is up and the one is sleeping. That's their ability to sleep through damn near anything. Like, I feel like that's you. Like, you're okay with your solitude. You're okay with your independence. You're okay with your, like, if you're in hermit energy, you're fine with that. If you're, the life of the party, you're fine with that too. But for the most part, you're always in your own world, in your own element. And that is, not to say you're detached from life, but I feel like you have a way of shutting things down to keep your sanity, for lack of a better term, or lack of a better word, because that if you were to like fully engage and be this like leader that you naturally are, like you take on things that are not necessarily yours, but if you were to fully immerse yourself in it, you understand that you would lose yourself in it too, and you don't allow that to happen. And even with this radical acceptance card to finish it off, this is kind of saying the same thing I was saying with you being like authentic, you being able to accept yourself, accept other people and their path, and like it's just life. It is what it is. And I think that this may be something that you're either further coming into, or something that you may even actively be working it on, or maybe it's a piece of advice for some of you as well on what it is that you could potentially be doing in order to bring more harmony and balance into your life. It'll be different for all of you, but I feel like for most of you, you know, like you have this instinct within you to want to help and be the leader and be that natural born like shot caller in every sense of the word. But knowing that, you know, like I said, there's a time and a place for it all. So yeah, I think that's basically what I'm getting here for this pile. But yeah, so pile 1, this is what I'm picking up for you. If it resonates, please let me know down below in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. That really does help me out a whole lot. It lets me know that it resonates. And yeah, again, like I said, if you want to book a personal session, you can do so over on my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And I will see you all in my next one, hopefully. Hey, pile 2, welcome to your reading. So if you chose the second pile for your selection, then here we go. So I'm going to start out with your tarot, and then I'm going to read your oracle to see what comes up for us with that. So your first card is the Temperance card in reverse. Second card is the Six of Pentacles. Third card is the Eight of Wands. Fourth card is the Seven of Wands. And then your last card is the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. Just kind of want to move these over a little bit. All right, so your major arcana is the Temperance, and it's in reverse. So, and it's actually the first card that came out. So right off the bat, if I had to describe your energy, I will say that there is an imbalance somewhere. And with this Temperance being in reverse, and I typically don't look at it like that, but just now I did. And if you look at the card, like, I don't know why, but I took it as the one that's being poured into is the cup for yourself, and then the one that is being poured is the one from other people. But when it's still upright, I mean, when it's reversed, you see like it's still kind of pouring. It's as almost as if the one that is for you is still being poured back into other people. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like no matter which way you flip it, it's well, I won't say that, but if it was upright, it would be pouring into you. I get the feeling that you put out a lot more than you give back. I mean, than you get back, rather. I get the feeling that you may deplete yourself in more areas than you even realize. And that is what causes the imbalance in the first place. Like with this Six of Pentacles here, I feel like this is you feeling like, okay, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my calling. I'm a giver. I'm so set in this. Like, I feel more comfortable giving than I do receiving. I feel like that is the energy that you may give off. Could be wrong, but this is just what I'm picking up. And there's nothing wrong with giving at all, but you have to have a point in time where the balance, like the scales have to be even. It can't be more or less. Like, granted, there will be some aspects in some areas of life where it will call for that, but it cannot be all the time, because eventually you're going to run out of things to give, and then you'll just be running on fumes at that time. Like, that's the kind of energy I'm getting. Somebody who, like, you know how they say when you only get like 2 hours of sleep when you typically get like 8, and it's like now I don't have anything to give, so I'm running on fumes. Um, and that leads to confusion, that leads to disorientation, that leads to um isolation, that leads to, I don't know why I'm hearing hunger. So maybe some of you literally will do for others before you eat. Like you'll give others your last before, and it won't have, you won't have anything left for yourself. Um but then here with this 8 of Wands, by the time it's time to like kind of move on to something else, and it happens so fast, you're on like defensive mode trying to protect what it is that you do want for yourself. So this 10 of Pentacles energy could represent like your dreams, your life purpose, your goals, and things that you have in mind for yourself. But because you're so focused on this, it's crazy because Pile One gave off this feeling too, but it wasn't in such a depleting way. It was more so in a balanced way. Whereas here, I'm just getting like rush jobs, defensiveness, agitation, like, and it's not like this is naturally who you are. I feel like you naturally have like before you learned these ways of being, before you took on these traits, and before you called on yourself to be such a giver, there was a time where you did receive. And because, you know, life circumstances and things have happened to you, it's caused you to feel like, okay, I'll deplete myself instead of having other people deplete themselves for me, because if not, then I'll feel like a burden of some sort. So I feel like this is only the natural energy you're in because you feel like it's going to get you results that you want. Like you won't seem so in the way. And that's not how it works, because healthy relationships are built on give and take, not just give. I don't care what anybody says. And I understand circumstances and things, and life happens to people. So it's going to be situational, but overall, in general, that is not how life is supposed to work out or go for you. These are literally active decisions that you're making that just need tweaking in order to fix themselves and, you know, create a better life or environment for you. But I will say, like, overall, you do have a very generous spirit. Um, and I feel like even this defensiveness that you may get when it comes to trying to protect what it is, it's not from a place of like harshness. It's like, oh, hey, wait, no, that's mine. Like, nobody can have that. That's mine. But the thing is, what's for you is going to be for you regardless of how long you take over here in this area. It's going to always be yours. It's just up to you to go for it, if that makes sense. So it'll have your name written on it for a while. But if you don't do anything with it, you know, naturally it will definitely find ways into other parts of life or wherever. But that's only if you don't do anything with it. It seems like you have a strong hold on it. Like you have this what's the word, like this connection to it that is unshakable. It's like you don't get just defensive off anything. This is something you really want for yourself, and it may even be like at the core, like in the core of your being. Like you always think about it, you always go back to it, you always are like, I really want this for myself. And but it kind of happens so fast. Like the moments where you're able to actually move into it, it's like you're kind of almost rushed into it. So you're going from one thing to the next. So say you're working on a business, for example, but when you're not working on that business, you're actively helping people all the time. It's like somebody's always calling you, trying to get you to help them with something. And it's like, okay, now it's my time to go ahead and finally do what it is that I want to do, or aim for my goals. And now I'm too busy protecting it or trying to make sure it's still there. But in the meantime, I got to go back over here and I got to help these people with this. And it's like, no, we have to find some sort of balance, because there's a lot of anxiety in this pile. There's a lot of disorientation in this pile. And I don't feel like I can get an accurate read on you at your core until that part is settled. I feel like this is just so, like, everything is so cloudy right now that this has to be worked through for me to get to, like, because the only thing that I can pick up for you is that, for one, I'm not even going to say the only things. The things that I'm picking up for you, for one, are that you're very committed, whether that be to your loved ones, whether that be to love, whether that be to just waking up and just giving. You're very generous. You have a very warm and welcoming spirit to you. It's just that you feel like when it comes to your own problems or your own issues and things like that, you don't have anyone to rely on. And that does bother you. Like, because it's like, I can't do it all. I'm not even equipped, because you are. And, we don't have more put on us than we can actually handle. But this just may be one of those things that you have to maneuver your way through in order to get down to the lesson of it, so that you're able to move forward in a healthy way. You know what I mean? So let me go ahead and read your oracle cards and see what comes out for us, and see if that kind of highlights anything from the tarot. So first card, you have Aries. Second card says, stop caring about what they think. This is your life to love and live. Then you have the power to create the life you love. Remember that. Skywriting the fates. And then overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. Okay. So, yeah, this definitely is reminding me of Pile 1, but just in a whole nother way. Like, it's not. The Aries card here, I'm not going to talk about what I spoke of in their pile, but it does kind of mimic it in a way, but you're like on two opposite ends of the spectrum. So for you, I feel like with this Aries, this ramming energy, this self-starting energy, like I said, I feel like people may rely on you for things or ask you of things, or maybe you're just that type of person who just naturally wants to help, even without being asked. You kind of just go head first into something like, oh, well, no, I'll do it. But then it leaves no room for yourself. So I think for you, one thing that I can say is you may be the type that, like, overextends even when it's not asked for, and those could actually be moments for you to take a step back and see what people have learned for themselves. With this, stop caring about what they think. This is your life to live. I think that might play more into this defensive energy you have here. So like I said, you may be doing it all on your own. You don't have people to rely on. So the thing or your goals and your dreams and your aspirations may be put on the back burner with you, because you're so busy helping people. So when it comes down to it, you're like, I don't even know if I can really do this. I don't have the confidence to do this. All I know how to do is to give to other people. And this is about like finding your own voice, your own footing, and your own grounding, and not really giving a fuck. Because as you can see, people naturally are relying on you, even when they don't necessarily ask for it. They're relying on you. So with that being said, just know that there's some sort of leadership skills within you. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the self-starter. So this could be a message in itself for that, to just kind of go for it and exert yourself and go full time, go full force within your own aspirations and your own dreams. Whether it takes a slower amount of time than others, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. We're not factoring time into this. It's more so like, listen, if it's yours, it's going to be yours regardless. And even with the Fates card here, I don't really remember the oracle message by definition, like, verbatim or whatever, but I know that just thinking about what's written in the stars and how everything is by design, just kind of looking into your birth chart or checking out, where it is that like your strengths lie, and honing in on that, because there may be a lot of missing pieces that aren't being factored into like your life's decisions or what it is that you do on a daily, because you kind of just, like I said, you go for it. You don't really take the time to really do your research in terms of like what making things work for you. You just kind of wing it. That 8 of Wands energy is just giving me like, I'm just gonna go for it. Like what do I do next? On the move, on the go type energy. So you could be the type to have like scatterbrain and just find yourself like overwhelmed. I mean, and it's funny because the overflow card says overwhelming plenty. I don't really think that this is speaking on you being overwhelmed, but more so you may have a lot of emotions and like pent up, just like things you need to release, but you're not able to get them out because you're always on the move. It can go one or two ways. It could mean that per se, but also, like I said, with the skywriting card right next to it, it's talking about like if something is meant for you, you know, you'll have, as long as you are going forward and you're doing something with it, it's going to always be with you. It's not until you let go of that thing or say, hey, I don't want to do that thing, or even there are some times when that's not even the case. Like you could say, hey, I don't want to do this thing, and it just always finds its way back to you, you know, and whether that be for good or bad or whatever you want to call it, is you know, that part is entirely up to you, but it's about what you do with that, like what you do with it in the end. And then lastly with this, you have the power to create the life you love. Remember that. Again, I feel like this goes back to your core, and it's kind of unfortunate because, you know, like I can describe you all day and all night in the way that these cards read, but to not be able to like pull out you, like outside of you being a generous spirit, outside of you being so committed to other people, outside of you, like, you know, being so protective over your dreams and your goals. You know, I really wasn't trying to, I was hoping this reading wouldn't be like tied into other people, but I feel like you make other people such a big part of your life that it's so easy to pick up on that. That may be the case for you per se. But there's a certain amount of, and I don't even know why I was about to say that, but there's a certain amount of confidence that is going to be necessary and needed in order for you to progress further in this. And, you know, you essentially can do what it is that you want. Like nobody's here to tell you what it is that you need to be doing, but I can say that the energy here, regardless of what is fated for you, regardless of what is written in the stars for you, regardless of what it is that you have the ability to create on paper, it won't actually mean anything until you apply it. And I really do think you have the ability to do that. Like I said, with this Aries being the self-starter, I really do feel like you have this way of just getting right to it. Like you don't even think twice about it. So not being able to, not factoring in your emotions is good, and it can be conducive and it can be harmful at times, because, you know, there are times where you're going to have to say, okay, listen, this isn't for me, and I'm very much aware of that. And I'm not going to go forward with it. And then there's times where you kind of, your fears or your insecurities will get to you, and then you factor your emotions in at that point in time. And that's where it becomes harmful, because it's like you want to have that same energy you have when it comes to just going for it for other people as you do for yourself. You know what I mean? It's like you have it. You're so willing to give. You're so willing to make sure everybody else is okay. But then when it comes time for yourself, you kind of forget that you are just as special, just as important, and just as creative, just as capable. You know, you have amazing, amazing qualities. And again, like I said, I really do wish that this didn't pick up so much on what it is that you do for other people. But I do think that can be a gift. That can be a curse and a gift. But again, it's all about the decisions you make. And if you want to allow it to be a gift to you, you know, you want to build that discernment that you have and that ability, those boundaries. You need boundaries. And with this Seven of Wands, you know, it talks about boundaries in a sense, but it's not within these areas. The boundaries and the defensiveness and the part about like trying to save whatever, like this is more so like I don't want to say you're grasping for straws. What is the word I'm looking for? It's more like I wasn't expecting it. Like it's rushed, you know, like you don't have time to think about it. It's like, oh, I just have to defend. Whereas like, say if you're going to war or something, you're prepared, you have the equipment, you have the armor, you have the knowledge needed in order to go into this combat. Whereas you're just kind of thrown into it because you don't have much time to think about yourself, because those thoughts always go to other people, if that makes sense. So definitely do see a generous spirit in here, though. I really do. But just know that everything needs balance. Just like this temperance card in its upright version, it's very balanced. It's go with the flow. It's tempered, and yeah. So I don't know, pile 2. This is actually all I have for you in terms of how I would describe your energy, you right now, you know, and I just hope that, you know, there's a piece of advice or clarity within here to bring some sort of balance back to you, or some awareness to you, and so that you can know what part you play in, you know, this whole thing. So hopefully it does that for you. If it resonates, you know, let me know down in the comments. You can like and subscribe as well. If you want to book a personal session with me, you can do so at my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I thank you all so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So if you chose the last pile, this is your reading. So we're going to start with your tarot first, and then I'm going to get into your oracle cards here and see what comes out. So for your first tarot card, you have the High Priestess. Second card is the Three of Cups. Third card is the Sun. Fourth card is Death. And then your fifth card is the Queen of Wands. Okay, so all right, so pile 3, if I had to describe you and your energy, I would say it's very different from other people's. You may find yourself oftentimes asking, like, where are my people? Why do I feel so different? Why do I feel so alone? Or maybe you are content with it. I feel like some of you are content with the fact that you're different, but then others of you may find, like, I don't gravitate towards anybody. Like, I mean, if I do, it's very few and far between. So now let me explain why. So you're very different for a reason. You have like a higher calling on your life, and it's not to say that you're better, but you just are different from the people around you. So you got the High Priestess, you got the Sun, and then you got the Death card for your major arcana. They're all upright. The only difference I'm seeing here with the High Priestess and the Three of Cups, you can't really see because my oil's in the way, but she's looking over this way, and they're all kind of like consumed with what they have going on. So I feel like when it comes to trends, when it comes to like group settings, when it comes to, and I just saw 222 when I said that. So when it comes to like crowds or whatever, you don't follow that. You kind of do your own thing. You set your own trend. And the difference between you and them is that you're the High Priestess. The High Priestess, and this is why I said some of you may feel like, oh, where are my people? I'm alone, blah, 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 whatever. Then the others of you were just like, no, I'm just fine by myself because I don't want to go along with that shit anyway. Like, it's kind of like you feel like, or maybe you feel both ways. Like, I do want to find my people. I do want to find my group. But I don't want to go along with this shit because this is not doing anything for me. This could just be the same cycles. This could be people partying. This could be overindulgence. This could be drinking. This could be smoking. This could be just doing a bunch of shit that leads to nowhere. And I'm not saying like it's not okay to celebrate and do things like drinking and smoking. Everything in moderation. But to the point where it consumes you is always going to be a no for me personally. But, again, everybody has their own life. I just feel like you don't resonate with that at all. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be that. It could be, but I feel like you're more spiritual. You're deeper. You're less on the surface and more inside the mind type energy. Like you don't really just go with things because everybody else is. And that is going to lead you a lot further in life. So right now it may seem like you're in this gray area of life where you're like trying to find your footing or find your way. However, with this sun card here, this talks about, you kind of coming out and you being exposed or you seeing the truth to a situation. I feel like you have the ability to do that. Your reading is interesting because I was telling the other groups, what it was about them, or at least trying to, get what I could as far as their traits go. But with yours, it seems more so like once you fully step into yourself, you may not be confident in the fact that you're so different. You don't want to go along with what they're doing, but you may still find yourself like having maybe imposter syndrome. So once you actually gain the ability, the confidence, the mind, the knowledge to push yourself forward and go through this transformation here and like just fully embrace who you are, which is somebody truly amazing, you're going to step into your own power. And whether you're doing it alone, the Queen of Wands is very independent. You have a very, like, at your core, the person that you are destined to be is someone very independent, someone very fiery, someone very energetic, someone very on the go. Like you're vibrant, you're spontaneous, you're like full of just life, whereas the High Priestess, she's content. She knows her shit. She's very self-aware, but she's quiet about it. She's humble. Queen of Wands is not humble. She's not cocky, but she's confident. And that's not just, I'm not sleeping on the High Priestess when I say this, but she's more of a quiet confidence. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the energy that you're currently giving off, but I feel like a lot of the quietness comes from you not being sure of like whether or not it'll be well received. But the people who are for you will be for you, and they're going to love the hell out of you. Like it's going to be, I don't even think you'd be able to fathom how much, because the Queen of Wands herself, she's so in tune with like what she got going on. Like she's concerned with what she got going on. She knows people love her, but it's not her main concern. Whereas over here, I feel like that may be a thing where you're like, I haven't found my people, or if it's very few, whereas I see all these others like having the time of their life, and it's like, well, when is it going to be my turn? But your turn and your time will come. So maybe that's another thing that I could say about you is, though you are confident, you're also very unsure at times. And such is life. We're all human. We have those moments. But I feel like the uncertainty and unsureness comes with you, and whether or not maybe you're on the right path, or maybe you're likable, even like just questions of that nature. But the thing is, like I said, you are, you think about the Sun card, and then how, like, I mean, both of them are, both the Sun and the Death card in certain ways are moments of surrendering, because even when you think of 24 hours, there's a part of it that's dark, and then there's a part of it that is light and, exposed. The sun comes out whether we want it to or not every day. It might be cloudy on that day, but the sun's still going to be out. It's going to be a lot brighter than it was at night. I feel like you're more comfortable in your shadows, or in the quiet, like when you're alone, like you have like this crazy confidence within yourself because like you're on the right path. But when it comes to being put up against others, or not even against, but just in the same room, you feel like I'm not the one that people are going to gravitate towards. If that makes sense. I feel like it does, because I understand it to an extent, but I mean, like, as far as me putting it in words, I hope that, that's well received. But just even in terms of looking at death, like I said, they're both surrendering cards. When death comes, we have to embrace it. We have to take it and go along with it, whether we want to or not. You can't really stop that from happening if that's God's will, So in the same breath, it's like, if this is who you're supposed to be, if you're being called to be someone who is more confident in their knowing, just more out there, more like in your face with it, then, and if that's who you want to be at your core, because you see all these other people having a time of their life with no shame in their game, but meanwhile you're confident but there's some shame in your game. I'm putting that in quotes because it's not really shame. It's more so just like uncertainty. It's like going into the unknown. And though the high priestess, she's been able to accept that there are like deeper truths to life, and there are like, it's like you don't accept yourself in certain phases of your life. Like maybe, and I'm thinking of like her crown. Like she has the waning moon, she has the waning moon, the waxing moon, the full moon. She has it all there on her crown. So maybe in certain aspects of your life, you're extremely confident. Then there's like the mild confidence, and there's like the uncertainty, or whatever the case may be. I don't really want to pinpoint exactly what those three would be. They could be different for all of you, but there's just certain areas where it's like, I'm extremely confident. Then there's like, I don't know. And then there's like, maybe, like that kind of thing. But you have an amazing ability to be alone, to be independent. And whether you see it in certain, like, I feel like you only see it play out in certain aspects of your life. Like you see it, the independent part of you that you have to that you're good at. You see it come out when you're wondering where everybody else is. But even if you had everybody around you, you'd still be able to be confident and independent at the same time, if that makes sense. So I feel like with you having that support system, that'll make it a lot easier for you, because you wouldn't feel so isolated and discouraged if you had people saying like, oh, well, and it's not even from a validation standpoint. It's more so just like having connections with people, not from an attachment point of view. Like, I need these people to tell me I'm doing it right, but just like, like a confidence boost, like that's just like someone telling you you're doing a good job. Like, who doesn't want to hear that, and I feel like maybe you don't hear it enough, except for like from yourself, or maybe like if you're a tarot reader or you listen to readings often and you hear it from that, but maybe not in person. So, yeah, that could be a very specific message, that part in particular. But I feel like for some of you, that stems from not hearing it enough. So let me read your oracle cards and see what comes out. So you got Poppy for your first card. Then you got find ways to lighten up and not take everything so seriously. Then you have stop looking outside yourself for the answers. You already know them. Okay. And then you got Moon Maiden, new beginnings. And then last you have Mindful Group Think. All right, so scratch what I said about that might just be a specific message for one of you. But this stop looking, I'm going to jump around a little bit. So this stop looking outside yourself for the answers, you already know them. That just kind of, I said scratch that because I feel like now it's a few of you who may think that like, okay, I kind of need it. Maybe it is from more of a validation standpoint than an actual like just confidence boost. Some of you may like look for outside validation when you already are the shit. Like you got the High Priestess for your first card. And this is obviously you, because you're not like, even the way I read the cards, this is obviously you. And this is you too. None of them are looking right here. This Three of Cups, this is their own world. Like this is, I don't feel like you're looking for the Three of Cups or these people in this group to validate you. It's just more so like, I just want my group of people, but it's kind of like saying, don't worry about that, because they'll come. They'll come, and you don't have to, like, even with the find ways to lighten up and not take everything so seriously. Do I get the feeling through the tarot that you take life too seriously? No, I wouldn't necessarily say it in that way. I feel like that's more so your nature after you experience this death card and moving to the Queen of Wands, I feel like you will find ways to lighten up and not take everything so seriously. Whereas now, you may find yourself being down or like alone, like in feeling like, well, what is life? Like it's like always a working job type thing. Like I have to kind of work and strive and push past these feelings or push towards these goals. Like this is the only thing on my mind. I don't have time to rest. I need to keep it moving. I need to find my tribe. And it's like, no, your tribe will find you. Your people will find you. When you're in this Queen of Wands energy, she's not looking for anybody. Yes, she's social. Yes, she's out there or whatever. But if don't nobody talk to her, she's perfectly fine with having fun on her own. And again, like this isn't me knocking the High Priestess at all, because I feel like you have to go through this part and knowing yourself and being secure with yourself before you can invite other people in anyway. So I feel like you're okay on your own, but it's when other people come into the mix where you start to second guess yourself. And that's one of the things that you may, obviously want to work through. But with this Poppy card, obviously... It's crazy. I looked over here at the sun. I was going to say, obviously flowers grow in the sun. And you just think of the process of plants, or I've used this metaphor before. You think of the process of plants or flowers or whatever it is just growing. Even even like people, you think of that, like just the process of taking it day by day and week by week and month by month. It's a slow going process, but at the end of the day, the result is something very beautiful. And it has multiple uses for it. Like you can use poppies for a number of different things. I'm not necessarily going to run down on them, but you'd be surprised at what a poppy can do. And even the symbolism of the poppy in itself. Let me see, matter of fact, let me see if I can look it up by definition for you, the poppy flower. And I haven't done this for any of the piles, so poppy flower meaning. Poppies have long been used as a symbol of sleep, peace, and death. Sleep because the opium extracted from them is a sedative, and death because of the common blood red color of the red poppy in particular. In Greek and Roman myths, poppies were used as offerings to the dead. I mean, there is no coincidence that you have the death card here. Again, it takes the sun. Like, it's not... the coincidences are very, very much like it makes sense at the end of the day. This poppy is like a representation of you. Once you've reached your fullest potential, you have to go through that transformation. You have to go through that uncomfortableness, because it is going to be uncomfortable to step outside of your box that you're in and like show yourself to the world, like and fully embrace it. But you have the moon made in new beginnings here. And even with this moon, remember what I was saying here with the High Priestess? It's like you don't accept yourself in certain phases of your moon cycle, like, or not even your moon cycle for sure, but like now I'm talking about your period, but I'm talking about like just your life, like your phases of life. But like, it's like, okay, I accept myself when I'm a full moon, but when I'm a new moon and it comes to and I know this is going to sound crazy, but when it comes to like setting new intentions and stepping into myself, it's like I can't do that. But when it comes to releasing, I'm good at that. Something of that nature. That was just a weird ass example. I don't even know why I used it. But going back to this card, it's all about new beginnings and just embracing yourself throughout every process. And the moon, you think of the nighttime. This is you allowing the sun to rise. Like you're allowing the moon to set and the sun to rise, because you've already accepted this. Like you've accepted yourself in the dark. It's just when it comes to exposing yourself or getting yourself out there that the problem seems to arise. So maybe you have like a fear of, I don't want to call it confrontation, but maybe in your mind it's considered confrontation because it combats with or it conflicts with the rules that you have set for yourself already. So it is a form of conflict because you're going to have to, or confrontation, because you're going to have to confront parts of you that you know are there that you're just not ready for other people to see. But the thing is, other people are ready to see that. Like you're the only one, you're holding yourself back. You know what I mean? Like being yourself, there's so many people out here just being themselves. And that one of those people could be you. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. It's just up to you to take those steps. Because like I said, stop looking outside yourself for answers. Everything that you have, you already need. It's already inside of you. So that confidence, that stamina, that intellect, that wisdom, you already have it. You've been through the things and you've surpassed this part, like these lower experiences that you don't even want to be a part of to begin with. Like you're not, you don't, at times it may seem easier, like, oh my gosh, like you think of the enlightening phase, like when you're not enlightened to shit and you're like just going through life aimlessly, you feel like, oh, it seems a lot easier. These people got a lot easier. Like they don't really have to do much, but there's so much benefit, so much reward in actually going and doing the dirty work and finding out the truth of things. Like it's so much more rewarding because once life really hits you, you know how to handle it, as opposed to people who haven't been there before, haven't experienced it, decide every day to close their eyes to the realities of life because they're so much more comfortable in the parts of it that don't really mean anything. And then lastly, with this mindful groupthink card, this kind of goes back into what I was saying, where you have like a mind of your own. You're very independent. You're very free thinking. You have an innovative thought process to you that other people would love to see, I'm sure. Maybe not the people that you're used to being around or the people that you used to be around in the past before you made this transition or this shift, but there's like a whole world of people that can relate to you that you may just not be aware of right now because you're just surrounded by the same things. But I'm telling you, once you actually embrace or like expose yourself, allow people to see you for who you really are and your truth, they're going to take something away from that. It may be small from others and big for other people. You may actually change the minds of a lot of people because this is the high priestess we're talking about here. You know, you think of the magician who comes before that and he is blessed and granted with the tools that he needs, but and though he is masculine energy, he can move in any which way that he chooses to see fit. When you have to go through the high priestess after that, where you're learning, like, okay, it's more to just doing. I have to actually think. I have to have some knowledge here in order to get through the entire fool's journey. And that's when you kind of get quiet. And people are going to want to get quiet. They're going to want to listen to what it is that you have to say. You just have to kind of be open to talking or putting yourself out there. But yeah. So yeah, this is your energy. This is what I'm picking up for you. And if it resonates with you, please feel free to let me know down in the comments. Also, liking and subscribing does this channel wonders. I really do appreciate it. It lets me know that you resonate with it and it makes sense to you. But yeah, so if you want to book a personal session, as always, my links will be in the description box, or you can head over to the website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And yeah, I thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one.